Hey there and welcome back to another Miraculous Ladybug video. And recently I've been lurking in the fandom on various different websites like Twitter, Reddit and even YouTube, and I've seen a lot of discussion and arguments about spoilers running rampant and ruining many people's enjoyment of upcoming episodes. Or even just getting asterisk pretty heated online. And these spoilers seem to come from a lot of places, whether it's just random leakers, Gloob or even Jeremy Zag. And they've really ramped up in frequency since the start of Season 4. So today I want to talk a little bit about spoilers and their place within the fandom, and discuss whether I think they're an overall net positive or negative. So with all that said, let's jump into the video. Now first, I want to go over a couple of the more famous leaks that we've encountered over the past couple of months. The most recent one, and the one that spurred on the creation of this video, was the recent script leak that made Asterisk blow a gasket on Twitter. Now, I'm not 100%, but from what I understand, these scripts were approved for release by somebody high up. It involved another Miraculous fan channel, and it was during an interview with Bryce Papenbrook. I'm not really sure whether they're Miraculous ambassadors, but just based on memory, I think they've been at Zag Studios before, which makes sense as to why they'd have access to excerpts from the script. And I'm not saying I agree with giving that to a kid, but, you know, it's most likely what happened. And then I guess Asterisk thought that was stupid and got mad. And then the post started getting taken down. Now, I'm not quite sure if that's 100% what happened, but that's what I've gathered from a little bit of reading. Feel free to clear that up in the comments though. I'd be interested to learn more. And the next leak, and probably the most controversial leak in years for the fandom, was when Gloob full-on spoiled that Luca finds out the identities in the trailer for Wishmaker. And this was dank. And it whipped up the fandom into a storm of rage that has not been seen since Miracle Queen aired. And honestly, this one to me was a bit baffling, all things considered. I have no idea what possessed them into thinking this was going to be a good idea. Well, yes, I actually do know. It's almost like since they couldn't air Wishmaker first, they got a little bit jealous and decided to spoil the big moment before Disney could air it. And they actually had a similar incident at the beginning of the season where they spoiled Marinette telling Alia that she's Ladybug, but the majority of the fandom just assumed this was a misdirect, as that's what we were used to with past trailers. So that was a huge shock, I think, to the fandom when it was actually proved true. And I think it aggravated the fans a whole lot more when they did it again with Wishmaker. So now that we sort of know what type of spoilers and leaks we're dealing with, there are really two major schools of thought when it comes down to it. The first is that spoilers are trash, leaks are trash, and they ruin everything. And it sounds a little bit dramatic when you boil it down to its base elements, but really that's all there is to it. And I think that's an understandable position to hold. From the perspective of a viewer, often these leaks and spoilers can serve to kill your hype. When you know a specific plot point's coming, it can often dull your emotional response and kill your engagement with the scene. With the Wishmaker example, the whole big twist of the episode is that Luca finds out. And then they spoil that in the trailer. Imagine if Darth Vader was revealed as Luke's father in the first trailer for Empire Strikes Back in the early 80s. By the time you actually got to witness it in the cinema, you just wouldn't care anymore. Hell, I mean, it feels like I was born knowing that twist, and so I've never been able to engage with it like somebody who saw it for the first time in the cinema. And thus it holds a special place in their heart. I mean, at this point, what are the odds Gloob spoils the big identity reveal? I think it's pretty high. And another negative element of spoilers that's really run rampant in the Miraculous community is they spread like wildfire. And for many people, there's really no way to escape them. Let's say Gloob posts a trailer which is meant for its fans, well then people take this and post it elsewhere, or the algorithm sends you to it, and then translators get a hold of it, and then every creator under the sun chucks up a community post or video with a spoiler title and thumbnail. And then this spreads to other sites like Twitter and Reddit, and the snowball keeps growing until thousands of people who didn't want to have seen this have seen it, and thus their enjoyment is ruined completely. Basically, if you've ever Googled the show's name, it's probably going to end up in your feed at some point. And then this inevitably results in flame wars and arguments between those who don't think spoilers getting shared around is a big deal, and those who really didn't want to be spoiled. And it always just ends in big, salty tears. And that's just from a viewer perspective. Imagine how it would feel to be Asterisk, writing this show, trying your best to make something that people enjoy, and then the TV channels that airs on are spoiling things in trailers, your scripts are getting leaked, and even your boss is spoiling shit every 5 minutes on his Instagram. I mean, he obviously knows that about 95% of the fandom watches the show as soon as it airs in any random country, in any random language, regardless of where they live in the world. And he seems to be largely cool with that. It builds up hype and lots of people get to see it. There's a demand and he doesn't seem to get that mad that you watch it in a not so legal way. So it's not like he's a completely unreasonable man-child. But then he keeps getting undercut and nobody tells him that they're just throwing spoilers out left and right like it's raining money. Instead, he has to find out from a bunch of fans sending him links and then teasing him for complaining when he gets rightfully annoyed that people keep undermining his hard work. Anybody who watches regularly here would know I'm not really an Asterix fanboy, but I can't help but feel bad for him here. He just gets blindsided again and again. His hard work gets spoiled regularly, and he's supposed to just sit there and take it. And if he doesn't say anything about it, people complain and laugh at him and say he's weak. And if he gets mad, people complain and call him an asshole. Sometimes he just can't win. I never really thought I'd feel all that sorry for him, but I just saw a post on Reddit that was just tearing into the poor dude for getting angry on Twitter. Is he not allowed to have feelings about his own hard work getting leaked? Oh well. But on the other hand, I can see why some people do enjoy spoilers. For a lot of people, spoilers actually enhance their enjoyment of the media they consume. I mean, there's a very thriving community for Marvel, Star Wars, and DC spoilers, where they all have fun posting leaks and discussing what it could mean for the future of the franchise. It doesn't mean they enjoy it any less, but it actually allows them to build up their own hype in anticipation of what's going to come. And sometimes it even allows them to be less disappointed by a specific plot point because they already knew it was going to happen like that. They had time to grieve beforehand. And this is actually my personal experience, so I do understand it a lot. So here's my take on all these spoilers and leaks. There are good spoilers and bad spoilers. In my opinion, everything can be a good spoiler, as long as it's confined to specific spoiler areas, like those communities I mentioned earlier that talk about spoilers specifically. That's where spoilers should live, in a place where those that want to be able to access them can access them if they want to. So things like the Luca reveal would actually be welcome on a Miraculous Ladybug spoilers subreddit, and I think that's okay. It's really not hurting anyone when it's confined to that specific place. And then another example of positive spoilers are things that don't really matter in the long run. For example, the script page leaks. They don't really spoil all that much, just predominantly show that there's some tension building. And it's the same with the Zag Instagram posts. For the most part, they spoil tiny little things, like when he revealed Renlings or new heroes. Not really all that plot heavy, was already heavily speculated about before he spoiled it, and it kind of just builds up the hype a bit more. But when you take things like the Luca spoilers or the Alia spoilers and then broadcast it everywhere, this is when we get into negative spoilers territory. Those are the type of heavy plot points that can make or break the enjoyment of a first-time viewer. And it really pisses me off when we see people get spoiled like that. Personally, I like getting spoiled. I know it's weird, but that's just how I am. But I hate when I see other people who don't want to have those spoilers have their enjoyment of a franchise trampled on by some selfish channel or influencer or journalist looking for clicks or controversy. So here's my final take. Small spoilers that don't really reveal all that much or just act as a tease, they're fine. They build hype and they don't impact too heavily on other people's enjoyment. And they should be freely shared around in my view. After all, they're pretty low risk and easy to avoid if you don't want to see them. But heavy spoilers? I'm not saying get rid of them, but confine them for God's sake. They don't belong out in the open, but in more specific places. It would really suck to get spoiled by your favourite influencer or just from a random social media post. They really need to be quarantined in their own place for the sake of the fandom's sanity. But as always, those are just my opinions, and now I'd like to hear yours. What do you think of Gloob's spoiler tactics? What do you think of spoilers in general? Like them? Hate them? Make sure to leave a comment and let me know.